Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us on this Book Selling University course about new ways to sell your books in large quantities with no returns. And I'll be the host of the course today. Guy Otzen is the speaker, but this is BSU course 131, which is the first one. Thank you very much for joining us for that. So, just to introduce the two speakers, I am Brian Judd, but Guy, would you like to introduce yourself initially?
Absolutely.
You're the head speaker today.
Absolutely. Hey, welcome to the course and thanks for taking it. We think this course is pretty important. It's the basics of learning about businesses and corporations and associations, governments and such. So thanks for joining. My name is Guy Otzen, as Brian stated, and I'm the president of the Marketing and Sales Group. One of the spin-off companies we've created with Brian is the Promotional Bookstore. We are a company that's focused on selling books to corporations and businesses and governments, associations, and organizations, as I stated. My expertise in terms of selling not only products, but books in general comes from my time working through some of the big publishers, as you see there, for many years. So we have a lot of experience in working with corporations and the companies, and hopefully some of that knowledge of what we've learned over 30 years can be given to you today.
I'm sure I will. You'll do a great job of doing that. Then this is Brian Judd. I'm the executive director of apps and started that almost 4 years ago now. But I have a lot of experience in special sales on both sides of the desk. I wrote books on it and many over 100 articles on non-bookstore marketing. But I was also the vice president of marketing for a Fortune 250 company, and so I have experience on both sides of the desk of buying promotional products and also selling them. So, but I've worked with known Guy for almost 10 years now, and I've known him to be one of the most strategically creative or creatively strategic people I've ever met. So I think you're in for a real treat tonight on this course, and we'll take it away right now, Guy. It's all yours.
Right, great. Well, basically what we're going to go over is what is this thing we call B2B, business to business, and how do we sell them, and who uses merchandise, and for what reasons do they use merchandise? And one of the areas we're also going to cover is what type of terminology should we be prepared for to use when we're dealing with what I call the 5 areas of B2B. So why do companies use promotional items? Well, promotional items are very easy. They're using them to get a message across, to promote foot traffic, to build something, whether it be morale, whether it is being used to create momentum of a product or a service. It's trying to enhance something that they're already doing, and they're going to use a piece of merchandise to get that across. It's the Cracker Jack. It's the Captain Crunch theory. If you recall back in the day, you wanted to buy Captain Crunch cereal because they had the coolest toys in them. Well, those little premiums in there, it cost a couple of pennies, got you to buy a box of cereal. Cracker Jacks. Why did you buy Cracker Jacks? Because you wanted to get the key to the Rolls Royce, which was never in there, of course, but you got a tattoo instead or some ring or something. Those were promotionally geared to get you to act in a certain manner, and that was to purchase the product. So they worked wonderfully. Why companies use books as promotional items? There's several reasons why they could choose to use a book. Number one, going into the book area, if you will, there's 6 million titles in print. There's plethora of information that's out there, information that can be used to enhance a product or a service of a company. So it makes it quite easy to use a book or portions of a book to enhance the product or service that they're looking for. So it is quite easy. And then how companies use books as promotional items, it's unlimited. The concept of a book in general is very simple. There's words, there's covers. I can stamp the cover, put a tip-in page in, but how can the company use it as a promotional item? It's unlimited to your imagination. If it's going to be a giveaway, if it's going to be a gift with purchase, an on-pack, a near-pack, if they're going to use snippets of your particular book, and they're going to send these things out to their employees or to consumers for motivation, for any type of self-help, or just to be recognized with a good word phrase or something on a regular basis to keep their name in front of you. You could just make it up as you go. That's the beauty of what I do. I like to say this to Brian every once in a while, is I don't even know what my job is. I sell to companies and corporations, and whatever it is that I need to do and create to get them to buy a particular product or service is what we do. We show features and benefits. We create this atmosphere that this is why it's going to work. We show them what they're going to gain from the purchase, and then we attack. We go at them. I just did it again this morning. I was selling a company on the services that we offer and some of the products and how we're going to be able to handle it for them. And once I got into the features and the benefits, he brought his marketing team in. We're online, and I got to speak to those people directly. So once you prove that you're there to benefit them, using a book for a promotional item is quite simple, actually. Books have a staying power like none other. Everybody who's listening to this course has a book within an arm's throw away. If you're sitting at your desk, look behind your desk. You probably have books. I have some sitting back there right now. They're like trophies. Anytime you put a logo on a product that has staying power like that, that's a promotional item. Books can be given to you for a reason. What is the reason? As an award, as an incentive to do more and get better, to learn as middle management, whatever it might be. There's purpose behind them. There's reason, but more, there's value behind them. Brian loves a story that I've told him many times, and he's used it in his presentations. And you know where I'm going with this, Brian.
I do.
I was at a financial company, a fund, if you will, company, and they were looking for products to use for a product that was coming in. It was quite an old style of thinking, but a classic, if you will. So I brought in a book, a classic book, Moby Dick, beautiful bound. It was great, and I thought this could be something that we could parlay into a concept of. It may be old, but it's still valuable. It's still a great way of thinking. And so we made a presentation, and she said, "No, I don't think that's really hitting what I'm looking for." And I said, "I understand." I kept on going on with my presentation, some of the other products that we were going over. And towards the end of the presentation, I had asked her if she had a trash can handy. And she said, yes. And I said, well, I'd like to get rid of some things because I have to walk back to my car through the city. And she goes, that's not a problem. And I took this book, this beautiful bound book of Moby Dick, and I opened it, and I started ripping out pages, just tearing them out and handing them to her. And she says, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm lightening my load, and I don't need all these pages in this book. And she said, and I quote, didn't anybody tell you that you're not supposed to destroy a book? And I said, I didn't think it had value from what you said earlier. And then all of a sudden, it hit her that, yeah, okay, you got me on that one. So we ended up getting an order from them on classics years ago to be used for that. Sometimes you got to show people how a product can be valuable to them. In fact, always show them how your product can be valuable to them. So we're going to go over how companies use it, why they use it, what reasons that they would use it, just so you're a little bit more familiar with going out into the corporate world, if you will, if you would, large or small, and showing you how to get an advantage on your competition and on your customer.
Just one quick note, Guy. A couple of times you've mentioned the concepts of a feature and a benefit.
Yes.
Describe the difference of those, please.
The features of a book, let's just use any particular book, would be the subject matter, how it's written, the character in it that would pertain to a certain reason why you want that book to be used for a specific company. The benefits would be what that company is going to gain from using it. So a lot of times we get too caught up with, and I do this quite often when I do consultations for people with their books. I ask them to tell me about their product, and I do speak to the term product and not book. But I said, tell me about your product. And they go into the whole dissertation of what their story's about. Well, it starts off in a small town in Evansville, Indiana, underneath an apple tree. And they get in specific details. That's not important to the buyer because the product that you're selling is the least important product in the conversation. The most important product is the product or service that you are trying to attach your book or product to. Therefore, if you're trying to sell to a company or a business, it's their product and service, which is far more important than yours. I know we're emotional about our books, and that's great. You should be. You should be passionate about what you did. But when you're in a sales position, it's their product and service that we need to enhance. using your book. So a feature to benefit, features are things that are in the book or about the book that make it interesting, that their customers and their clients would like to see or should see or need. The benefits are that their customers and clients are going to want to see it, use it, keep it, hold it, see their logo, and it's going to enhance their product, service, business, as well as maybe their reputation with their customer base.
That was good. Thank you. So we'll start off with the why now.
So why would a company use a promotional item? Well, there's 6 reasons that are showing up on screen right now. We could probably talk about 60 reasons. And quite frankly, you can make reasons up right now. If you have a pad in front of you, just start jotting why a company would use a promotional item, something to promote a product or service, and you're not going to be wrong. And that's number one. These are not the only reasons, but these are key reasons. Increase sales, revenues, and profits. Boom, there you have it. We're trying to get sales. Sales brings money in. Money equals profit. That is what a business does. Profit's not a bad word. We want to help them gain, an advantage in the marketplace and make money. That's what this whole thing's about. I mean, it's pretty simple. So we can use a book or a promotional item to do exactly that: increase sales, revenues, and profits. Get people to do things. Remind them of our products and services. Remind them to call. It's the old, most people have a refrigerator magnet with a pizza shop on it. Well, there's a reason that is. It's very inexpensive. It stays there, and you see it all the time. You're not going to look at it all the time and say, hey, look, there's a DeCarlo's pizza magnet. But when you need it, it should recall that, hey, I have that magnet. Oh, there's the phone number. That's the purpose of it. So it's a promotional item that can enhance revenue, increase the sale to a pizza, if you would, and the profit of the company. Keeps customers loyal. Out of sight, out of mind. Your name is in front of them. You want your name in front of them. And that impression is important because it makes you common to them. If you're common, your chances of being loyal to that customer or to that business is through the roof. It skyrockets. So an item that can be kept, used, have value is a great way to increase loyalty. And then loyalty equals sales, sales equal revenues and profits. So generate goodwill. It's a good feeling. An item that is logoed, that has a warm and fuzzy, if you will. It can be anything. It could be something that the person needs at the time. A bottle of water with a logo on it that you get to carry on a hot day. Somebody just hands it to you and says, here, on behalf of everybody at the bank, you look thirsty. Gee, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It could be something so simple and inexpensive. It could be something that costs more money. It could be jumper cables. I've done promotions with jumper cables in the past. A bag, jumper cables in there. That's a warm and fuzzy. I hope you never need it, but when you do, just know that we're going to be there with you and help you along the way. So it's the goodwill, it's the good feeling type of a thing. It might be that as a book, you walk into a bank and the teller looks at you because you and your kid are there and your kid is getting ready to go to college and they know this and they hand you a book on how to study. They don't have to give you that book. It does nothing for them that moment except provide goodwill between you, the bank, you, the parent, and that student. And it's a wonderful thought. It's a wonderful thought. And that's because there's long-term value in that type of a promotion. Just imagine moms and dads love when you do something for their kids. I'm a parent. I love when people do nice things for my kids. I never forget it. And I always want to repay it. So you give my child something that's going to benefit them in their life. I want to do business with you. You're the kind of people I want to do business with. The child learns to study, does well in school, gets a great job, has money. Where do they go? They go to the bank. Okay, so you could see the full circle of what's going on here. Long-term, goodwill, excellent way to get a name in front. And books can be very, very good at doing exactly that. And I'm going to use a lot of the same types of examples throughout this course, so it's familiar to you. But as I say to Brian, challenge me on coming up with something on the spot, and I'll do it. You're never going to catch me without a concept or a way to use a product or create something in front of you. And I've done it how many times, Brian? Over 10 years.
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah.
I've seen that in action.
It's a lot of fun sometimes. We do have the challenge every once in a while where we actually bring merchandise that this is free if you could catch them. We haven't given anything away.
That's right.
Promote additional purchases. That's where it's the incentive to do. So if you do this, we'll give you this, depending on what it is. If you really, really need that product or really, really want that product, you may purchase something additional. Promote that that way of thinking to get people to buy more, to do more things, more services. Hey, I only need you for a month, but I might as well use your service for the rest of the year. Well, if you do that, we can give you this, or we can help you with this, or help do this for you. Gift with purchase. That encourages people to buy a product. Or if you buy 2, you get this free. A book can be part of that. It could be part of that, depending on what it is. There's so many subject matters out there that books can be part of. It's very difficult to narrow it down to one. But if you have a book on lawn care and you're talking to a lawn care company, they could give that away and say, this is what we're doing. Follow it along. This is how you can keep your lawn. We can't be here 24/7, but you can be. This is how you can help. Here's a book on that. Somebody out there who's going to be taking this course wrote something about lawn care. It's going to happen. So every subject can be approached in this vein as we're going, but it's difficult to come up with every single issue. There's people talking right now saying, well, I wish you would talk about my book. I wish I could too. Give us a call. Personalized recognition, to give something to a specific person with their name on it. If you have a product where, as an example, if there was a pen and that pen had your name on it, actually this one does have a name on it, that is personalized. It's a promotional item. Could also have that logo that means something to the individual, and that's important. That's a recognition of you personally, of your name, and that takes the extra effort. It's like a gift. When you get a gift that's meaningful to the individual and wrapped, that means something more than somebody throwing a golf shirt to you that has a logo on it. Last, train or motivate employees. That's more of as Brian will get into, probably the human resource side of things. That's more of where we're going to use a product to get someone to attend a meeting, take a course or courses, extra things, to get your employees to do something that they're not used to doing. That's where the incentive word is going to come into play, especially for safety. That incentives are used for that specific purpose. But to train, there's going to be titles out there that could be used to train middle management, lower management into habits and ways to be better and how to think and critically think. That is, how to do things better. The books can be used for that, and they can be given, they can be earned. Create courses out of it to get the people to do more with these products. And of course, the logos on there, the information on a tip-in page can be put in there as to why we're doing this. Again, make it up. Create the benefit that employee or that company is going to get from using your product, and you're on your way to a sale.
I think an important thing you brought up here is the fact that there are multiple entries in a corporation. You don't have to, it could be the marketing department, it could be sales manager, or it could be HR, or it could be some other department, depending on the content of your book. So just don't think you have to go to the marketing manager. It could be think like a burglar. That burglar wants to get into your house, to try the front door, the back door, the garage, the windows, but if they really want to get in, they will. And you can do the same thing by contacting the different types of different managers in the organization. And we'll have a separate course on how to do that coming up shortly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so ready to go to the next slide?
Absolutely can.
Here we go.
Why companies use books as promotional items? Well, we went over some of those reasons why. You want to engage a customer, a client, or an employee. You want to put a positive spin on things. you want to reinforce some type of a behavior or an image with an individual, now again, it could be when I say a customer, that customer could be an individual. A customer can be another company. It could be another supplier. It's not just specifically a person. Most people, before they take this course, are going to have this image of like retail. One book sitting on a shelf sold to one individual. Corporations don't think this way. When they buy bulk and they give away in bulk. They want to have a product with a message in and or on it where it can be given out in bulk at one time, splattered, if you will, and hopefully one or two or three of those messages take hold to a customer, a company who is going to do business with them. It's not the individual sale that they're always typically looking for. Now, the opposite of that might be human resources, where we're specifically targeting employees or management who can benefit from the product. But overall, when you're talking about a consumer offer, a consumer promotion, something that we don't know everybody out there, their likes and dislikes, but what we can do from that point is ask the question of how many people can I hit with this promotion, and why would they want to do it? The feature of the book will tell you that. The benefit is the bulk of your customers. So you got to have a little bit of flexibility in your thinking in terms of your product. If they want it to be specific, you got to be prepared to present it as something very specific. If you want it to be wide range, to hit the masses, you got to be prepared to explain that one as well. Books are easy. There's no LED screens to pack. They're not going to break in shipping. That's a wonderful thing. You could drop it. It's there. People are going to glance through it right away and hopefully later on read it. Well, remember that bottle of water I talked about, Brian? You drink it, you have that image with you at the time, and hopefully somewhere down the road you say, boy, that was really nice of those people to give us all that free water. That's wonderful. Who was that? If they say that, then you get a little bit of an impression from your bank, if you would, because of that experience. The book is a little bit different. That has some staying power. So there's an impression coming later as well. I go to my car and I say, okay, let me turn this down a little bit. I go to my car and I put the book down. There's an impression. I get out of my car to go home, go into the home. I grab that book, bring it into the house. There's an impression. I want multiple touches of a product, and no one's going to throw it away because Moby Dick. Or didn't anybody tell you not to destroy a book? Same principle here. They're going to keep it. It's going to sit around for a while. It's going to be there, and so is that impression of that logo or that message that's on the cover. So there's a little bit of uniqueness to it. It can be very effective over a long haul. The high touch that's mentioned there is really interesting. It's not just the individual. How many books have been passed on to people? I read it. I give it to Brian. I said, Brian, you got to read this book. This is really interesting stuff. Or Brian says, I'd love to give this to my son who really is now just coming into this area of his life. So it gets passed over and passed on and passed down. That's really important. That's really important because that logo that's on that book also goes to those other areas, other people. Maybe a target market that they're not used to. Maybe a target market that they're not even looking at that individual, an age group. But at some point, just like I said about the bank, giving something to that child, that kid who's going to college, the parents saying, wow, that was great. You're looking at locking in the parent a little deeper through the emotions. You're looking at that child, that kid who's going to college being successful in 4 or 5 years, maybe 7 or 8 years, and coming back to you saying, hey, you're good people. I remember you. He may not know why, but he remembers the name and the brand. And when you're familiar with brand, you're comfortable with brand. So that's important. I always like to give analogies. I think analogies are really easy. If you had 2 sets of brakes to put on your car and they were the same price, and one was Bendix and the other one, or Rebestos, and the other one was Acme brand, from the Bugs Bunny cartoons, which one do you say? Prices are virtually the same. You go with a brand you could trust. So brands are really important, and brands are or something that have long-term effect on people. And so using a book that is valuable for that individual reason can be, long-term effective because of the high touch. And it also says targeted. We touched on that as well. Who are we targeting with those how to study books? We're certainly not targeting people like me. We're targeting younger people who are in a reason, have a reason to study for school, if you would. But we could load this slide up with 100 different words of why a company would use a promotional item. The bottom line is to engage either an employee, a customer, or a new client to promote their message, their brand, and their image to that individual for a long-term benefit in a relationship. Period. That's it. Our job is to take that product, that book, show that company that this is the right item for them. It's got a long-term staying power. A lot of touch is going to be on this thing because you know it and I know it. Everybody in the room, whoever you're presenting to, has gotten a book, given a book, or traded a book with someone else in their lifetime at least once, twice, 10 times. And we're able to say that's the power of these things. I always tell people it's not sexy. There's no LED screen. There's no flashing lights. I tell you what, sometimes the information contained within is very valuable, more valuable than anything else. So you look at it that way. One of the areas that you have to be concerned with in terms of a promotional item, one of the parts of the presentation that you should use to your advantage is to be able to go to a company and say, all of the information contained within is of a holistic nature or a good nature or whatever nature it is. There's no derogatory words, assumptions. There's no sex, religion. There's no, any of this, depending on the product. If you have a product that doesn't have any of those kind of what I'll call sins of promotion contained, mention it. Put their mind at ease. They probably didn't even think of it, but I will guarantee you some attorney will think of it. And then they're going to get back to you and ask. Answer the question before it's asked. There's nothing wrong with raising that question, number one, especially if it doesn't have anything in there that isn't derogatory to their brand. They want it crystal clear, lily white, direct, without being offensive to anyone. And in this day and age, that's quite important.
And you've talked of the long-term concept several times. That's really important here. That particularly that durability idea that some companies might give flowers or chocolate to their employees as a motivator, but a book will last a lot longer than a box of candy.
Oh, there's no question.
And I've heard you talk several times about when you're customizing a book to put the logo on the cover. It's a good idea to put it on the spine, because a book can be we might put it on the shelf, and then that logo is always standing out.
Books sitting on a credenza, that's how they sit. If you put your logo on the front, then what good is it? You can't see it for the most part. But on the spine, you can see it. If you're designing your book, if you're creating a cover, you may want to consider leaving an area on that spine open for a promotion, for a logo. It's going to pay off. It's another impression that you can give to a consumer on behalf of the customer. And you can tell that customer that, hey, I have this spot on the spine, I got this spot on the cover, and that there's a reason why we leave it open like that. This book is built for promotions. It's built for your company to use it and give it away and provide impressions for years. So,
I think an important point is just as a comparison. If you want to sell books through retailers or through bookstores as a retailer, you want to sell 10,000 books, you have to find 10,000 people to each buy one. But when all these things that Guy is talking about, you can get one person to buy 10,000 books. And then they might get recurring revenue where they place an order, a blanket order for perhaps like 10,000 books a quarter or something like that. So the important thing is that when you're looking at all these things, that ROI is obviously return on investment, but you can talk about also return on ideas, where this is a creative concept. It's where you're going to these buyers and you ask them questions. You start off asking questions. How do you, what do you want to accomplish? What is your objective? Then you show them how they can use your book, your content to reach their objectives.
You're right, Brian. The promotional advertising / incentive premium field, the B2B, if you will, very unique in terms of building a brand and product. Hamilton Beach, years ago, who out there remembers the days of going to a bank and making a deposit and getting a blender or a toaster or anything like that? Our company used to do those promotions back in the day. We were founded during those periods of time, doing incentive programs and such. Those were wonderful. You'd walk in, and there'd be an order sitting there for $250,000 worth of blenders. And the next one was another $200,000 worth of toasters. And the next one was electric knives or shirts with logos on them. The money was flowing because these banks realized that people were willing to do something if they got this free gift. And the one company that understood that was Hamilton Beach, many years ago, obviously, before it was a brand name. Hamilton Beach used this industry to promote their brand, to put it out there and allow people to try it. They sold their products inexpensively, and people got them and realized, hey, these aren't bad products. And then they came out with this air popper or this oil thing that spun around first before the air popper, and a dome design, if you will. Crazy looking thing, but it worked, and I actually had one. But that was one of their first items that they sold on TV. And they had a brand following with all of these banks that they were doing, and created a brand from it. So giving them a special price, getting it out there on the open market, allowed consumers to then say, hey, this is a great product, you ought to try it. Well, a book could be the same way in a different avenue. I read this book, you're at a party, you're talking to people, hey, I just read this book by Brian Judd, man, it's phenomenal. You got to read, go pick it up, all right?
I agree.
I'm not saying it's ever happened before, yeah. But that's how people talk about it. I just got done reading this book, I'm trying to think of the author's name, and that's a conversation that people have all the time. So giving it away for a special price to a company who's going to give out quantities of these things increases the likelihood that your product is talked about at a party or talked about somewhere in business or used somewhere else. It's all about impressions, but getting it out there, masses. And that's how it starts to build for you as a brand,
And one other important part about this particular slide is that the companies, when you call on these people, they may never have used a book before as a promotional item.
Likely.
So, so that you may have to start off with this slide, showing them or giving them the reasons why they should not choose an umbrella or flowers or candy or a golf shirt or a watch. That here are the reasons why a book, or your book, can be an effective promotional item.
Especially if their item is teaching them about something or a specific subject matter. People retain information. And when they retain information, they're able to use this information to enhance their own position, to show that they're intelligent in some manner, way, shape, or form. Don't discount that. If you have a book or a product that is capable of teaching, use that as an advantage. People remember where they learned things, who taught them. If your brand is associated with that, then by all means, mention that. Because if it's being given away by Campbell Soup or a Clorox company, they'll remember it in the back of their mind that that's where I learned that information from that book that I got from Campbell's or Clorox. Don't discount that. Bring that up. Tell them. We all learn things from people. We've all heard things, and we retain that as our own. That's important. Knowledge is key, and to be associated with that knowledge is even more key when it comes to advertising impressions and being well known as a brand. Their brand is everything.
That's right. And it's just this concept of return on ideas. It's a creative concept where when you go in there, you just don't say, here's my book. Do you want to buy it? Obviously, you're asking the questions about how are you. Question I've used many times is, if you were to hire an assistant now, what would you want that person to accomplish in the next 90 days? And the buyer would say, well, I want to do this, this, and this. And say, no, now you know the pain points. And so you talk about how your content can reduce those. If you're ready to go on the next slide, you can just talk about how a company can use books or use your book. Ready to go?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
All right. Well, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the fun of it. These are the things where I want to focus and really tell you more about how a company could use a product and in what scenario. Please get familiar with these areas. This is key. You can't just go and think that they're going to buy it and leave it up to them to come up with the reason why they should buy your product. You've got to have a reason. Depending on the company or business, the size of it. You know, I have sold products to companies that have one employee, electricians, plumbers. I've sold products to Fortune 10 companies that are spending $15-20 million a year with me. They're all the same. I don't look at them any differently. The bigger the company, the slower the process. The smaller the company, the more important it is for speed to get it done and get it through to be effective. So the bottom line is they both have to be effective. You both have to go over the features and the benefits to the small guy as well as the huge corporation, but the return has got to be quicker for the smaller guy because the bigger corporations are going to use this in the long haul. Sometimes these promotions and these sales take years. I've worked on things, as Brian will attest, for anywhere from 3 to 15 years. I know that sounds crazy. Could you imagine working on a promotion for 15 years before somebody buys it? When it comes to sales, I'm a big dumb animal. But when I have the idea, the concept that I think is good, I'm going to push it, and at some point, I'm going to be successful. That's the great part about sales. If you have the attitude that I'm not going to get defeated, I just may not win today. I'm going to win tomorrow. Well, tomorrow can be a long time off. But when tomorrow does come, all spends the same. So what are the types of reasons and areas with which a promotion can be built around? Gift with purchase. A gift with purchase is just what it sounds like. You're giving someone a gift because they've purchased a product. You've at a fragrance counter, famous for gift with purchase. You go and you buy that bottle of perfume and you get that bag, you get that makeup kit thing, whatever they give away. Gift with purchase. Very simple to understand. It's got to be priced with a percentage of what the person's buying. No one's going to give away a $20 book for a $5 product. Never. Unless you're selling it to them for a quarter. So if you sell them your book that's $20, $19.95 for 25 cents, you got a really good chance of selling a lot of products. And you do. Make it up in volume, if you will. On-pack and near-pack offers. I put them next to each other for a reason. An on-pack offer is exactly what it sounds like. The product itself is attached to the product. So you're very familiar with liquor companies where they're going to have an on-pack offer where you go in and you buy a bottle of Martini and Rossi at the holiday season and they have chocolates. Or you get a bottle of Jack Daniels and they have glassware built into the packaging. That's an on-pack offer. I'm buying the bottle, I'm getting the glass for free. If it's a near-pack offer, same scenario. It can be buy this bottle, get that chocolate, get that glass for free. And it's in a shipper or a container of some sort next to the display where I grab a bottle and I grab the glass or the chocolates at the same time, go to the counter. It's rung up that way. It's free and out the door you go. So on-packs and near-packs are very effective. That is a point of purchase incentive. That's what I want because I'm going to get it for free. If there's two like products sitting there and I can get something with free with one of those two, human nature is to buy the one where you get something for free. You may not even need it, but somebody might. So they're going to tend to increase your sales over your competition quickly. Then you have the incentive, the premium, the incentive, and the advertising specialty. Those three that are shown now, I tie those three in together as well. I'm going to start with premium first. A premium is something that you get for doing something. So I'm going to buy a product and I'm going to get this gift with purchase. That's a premium. An incentive is something that you're going to earn. Hey, I want that product, so I'm going to go buy that product. So a good incentive could also be I'm willing to do something for a period of time in order to earn that product that the company is giving away. Safety. If I work safely and I attend the safety meetings each week and I show up on time and I keep my truck clean, I'm going to be able to earn these products that the company is giving away as a reward for my efforts, for my action. So incentives are action-based. Premiums are issue-based, where all I got to do is do this, and it comes with the product anyway. I get it. An advertising specialty is just what that sounds like. It's a special item with which advertising is built around. It could be a pen. It could be a coffee mug. It could be a hat. It could be a shirt. It doesn't have to be anything of huge value unless you want to keep it around for a long time, but it's got to be usable. It's got to be something somebody would want to use or take. The length of time that they keep it is your true, dollar value of that product. If it's not very important to them, or if it's a consumable, it's instant and out the door it goes. So you get a piece of chocolate and you say, oh, look, it says, Acme on it. And you open it up, you eat it, you throw the wrapper away. There's no more advertising coming from that. It's over. It was just one impression out the door. That better be inexpensive. If it's going to be something that's going to stay around on the desk, it's going to be an engraved coffee mug. And you're going to put somebody's personalized name. Remember, we said personalization over there. And you're going to personalize their name with the brand that you're promoting. That's something a little bit more personal. There you go, Brian. A little more expensive. And there you go. A little more expensive, but it stays around. Brian, how long have you had that mug?
It's been about 3 years.
Well, there you have it. So it stays around because it's personalized. It means something to you. The customer thought about you, and their logo's on there as well. So there's an advertising specialty. Again, a book is something that stays around for a long period of time, especially if it contains valuable information that can be referenced over a period of time. So it can be a very strong ad specialty if presented in that manner. So we've gone over the gift with purchase, the on-pack, and the near-pack. We've talked about incentives, premiums, and ad specialties. Well, a giveaway is easy. A giveaway is just a giveaway. It's something that company is going to give to you to get you to come to their trade show booth. It's something that they're going to give to you to motivate you to do a certain action. It's something they're going to give to you to show appreciation for something you did, whether it be a purchase, whether just showing up, whether it be just for being you, or saying something nice online to them. They're giving it to you for an advertising purpose as a way to say thank you. It could also relate, if you remember back at that other slide, goodwill. Hey, here's a product from you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And it's a bottle of water with a logo on it, but there's goodwill involved in that. So you start to see now how I tie all these things together. And it's really important that all of this stuff works like two gears like this. Because when you're in a presentation, and you hear what the person or the people want to do, what they want to accomplish, you got to start to say, is it an incentive that they need, or is it a premium that they need, or a specialty? That's an advertising piece. And then you have to say, well, is it a product they're going to sell at a retail store? Maybe I can do an on-pack or near-pack. Maybe it's just something with the employees that they're going to try to motivate them to do something in some specific way. Well, that would be possibly an incentive that you wanted to put in front of them. And what an incentive can be anything. It doesn't have to be something of high value. It can be a parking spot. I mean, if it's the month of February and you're in Minnesota, the parking spot right next to the door got value, right? So that's an incentive. You get the parking spot all month if you just show up for work every day. So the advertising specialty premium, that's the giveaway area. Self-liquidator used to be very popular back in the day, especially when freight rates were reduced. A self-liquidator is exactly what that is. It liquidates itself for the value of the product. Corporations, companies have buying power. Far more buying power in corporations and associations than any other entity on the planet Earth. Consumers spend a lot of money, but it's dwarfed by what corporations spend. So I always laugh when I talk to publishers and people in general about books and the B2B sector when they're you as an author, you're targeting retail. I want to get on that retail shelf and I want to sell 25 books or 50 books to this retailer and hopefully over the course of the year I sell 500. And I just shake my head and I said, I just shipped a truckload of books to a pharmaceutical company that's 10 years worth of sales at a retail. And it was one order and it's non-returnable and it's gone. Now I get to move on to the next one. I don't have to babysit. I don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. That's the beauty of the B2B side of things that we're doing. So self-liquidator is a product that you would say, my book, I'm going to sell it to a corporation for $3. That corporation turns around, looks at the cost of $3, freight, and says, hey, for $3.99, you can get this book. They have $3.99 into the promotion. They're requiring a purchase plus $3.99 of a product or service plus the cost of the book for them to acquire it and hand it to you or give it to you, and if they liquidate the whole cost. But it acts as a premium. It acts as an incentive. It could be an on-pack that you're charging more for it, but it's liquidating itself, so there's no pure cost to the corporation. It's assumed by the consumer who wants that product for $3.99. The key is, because the corporation's buying this product for $3.99, you may not be able to touch it for $10, $15. They're buying bulk, so they get the advantage of buying in scale, if you will. Motivation, well, we touched upon that. They're using it to provide a spark to employees, to get them to do something, to motivate a person to do something different. That goes right back to the incentive. You have to give them a reason why you want them to act in a certain manner. Again, whether it's in a safe manner, showing up to work, customer service, dealing with customers in a certain way, using a product or a service that you're now introducing. If you want them to act in a certain way as a consumer and buy a product, show up differently, show up every day, that's part of how products are used in a motivational area, which ties right over there to the incentive word. And then co-op. Co-op is very simple. That's where we are cooperating together with two entities, and a promotional item is being used for another company. Brands such as Coca-Cola co-op all the time. Beer companies co-op all the time. They'll put a logo on there. A distributor of some sort will buy the product for half price. They get a great deal on it. It goes out to the consumer who's associating themselves with a particular brand, and then it's used for the promotion. So it's usually a more expensive item, or an item that's used frequently that has some value to it, that they're going to co-op. Shirts. You always see embroidered shirts with a couple of logos on there. Many of those are co-ops. The company who's selling them might be on the chest, the sleeve. It might have the brand who co-opted with them. You'll find that in office sale products, insurance companies, things of that nature. They do a lot of this. You can do the same thing. We have a product that we call the corporate library, where we take multiple books, put them together, and we'll put them into a bank or a credit union. The purpose is the bank knows their customer base, and if they want more information on the internet, I'll have books that are available about internet advertising, web-based, social media. If it's finance or accounting or hiring and firing practices, we'll put books in there about that. But they can go to their small business clients, people that they know are starting companies, and they can work with them specifically, Brian, and say, hey, we have this library. You can take any book you want. It's free. We want you to have this information. That's goodwill. That's an incentive to do business with them because they're taking care of you. It's a premium for just showing up. It's an advertising specialty because there's a logo on that book that you're giving away, and it's going to have legs. It's going to have a high touch, which is great. It could also be co-opted. You could have that book, that bank could put their logo on there, and it could be other businesses throughout the area. What other businesses would be associated with that bank and that business owner? Maybe payroll companies, maybe an accounting service, maybe companies that are doing things like snow removal, grass cutting. They can get on there and say, hey, we're available to help you. If you own a business, the last thing you want to be doing is snow removal and grass cutting and things of this nature. So you're going to hire a company to do it for you at your building. So they could co-op and say, hey, I'll put your logo on this book. You're going to be in front of a lot of customers because we're going to give these away at the bank. And everybody pitches in a little bit, and for pennies, you get advertising, you get the stay because of the book, and you're educating that person. Didn't I just get done saying that education, people remember a lot of where they learn from? It's a natural tie-in. So we're in a great market, we're in a great field with great product, with great reasons. We just have to be cognizant of all of these reasons why, understand why a company would use a book, how they could use a book, what purpose they would have for using that book. Now we got to show them what are the benefits of it. And the benefits go back to the first slide that we talked about, and that is sales, profits. That's where it comes back to.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments here also, that some of the points you brought up. One, the fact that it's a slower process. In retail, if you get on the shelf, then if it doesn't sell in 60 to 90 days, they take it off and put something else on, because retailers don't sell books.
Right.
They're looking for profit. If your book or if your product doesn't create profit for them, they'll take it off and put something else on there. So the companies, and it's a little bit different, and it may take, as Guy mentioned, 3 or 4 years to get a sale. But the idea is you have to keep at it, keep working at it, and eventually it could occur. But it's not, don't expect something to happen in 60 to 90 days. So it's totally different from retail.
No, and something else, Brian, that we speak of frequently, when you're talking about corporate sales or businesses, associations, familiarize yourself with not only your book and your product, but some other companies and other books and other authors that you're familiar with that you like their product as well. There may be an opportunity where you're selling your book or to a company, and it may not be the perfect fit right now, but another product might be. Make yourself important to them. Know more about the market. Know more about what's out there in terms of that. There's nothing wrong with you saying, hey, I could get that book for you. That's not a problem. And selling it to them. You're there to sell a product. Sometimes you got to sell somebody else's product, and hopefully that person will reciprocate and sell your product. But if you make yourself valuable to the customer, whether it's a corporation or association, organization, or of government, they're more apt to listen to you, to work with you over a long period of time. And then you're going to be able to see more and entrench yourself more in different areas of that particular area of that organization or business, and sell your product too. It's more important to be relevant with your information, your knowledge, and other products that are coming in that's going to benefit them. Don't try to just sell them something. You're going to lose. You may get an order, but you won't get a second. There won't be a repeat order. We've done promotions with companies, from pharmaceutical companies and the television networks to small town restaurants. And we get reorders because it works. We set it up. We set our expectations, sometimes low. And then when it works well, we get multiple orders. So there's a value to being familiar with all the terms. There's a value to knowing this side of the business. And there's also a value to recognizing that this side of what we're talking about dwarfs the opportunities that we all think about at retail. Retail, you're selling one book at a time. Here, I'm selling as many as I can, as many as a company would want. It's based upon the buying power of the person you're speaking to. There's nothing wrong with going to an electrician or a plumber or a chiropractor or a dentist and saying, how would you like to get your name in front of 200 people? And I can do that easily. And donate that book, have him buy it, co-op it with 2 other companies, whatever, and donate it to the local school. If you have children's books, and put a tip-in page or logos on the cover that say, hey, this is a benefit from Springwood Dental. This is a benefit from Marino's Pizza, whatever it might be. We're giving these books to your children. We're going to give you 1 a quarter from these companies. It's impressions going home. Moms and dads, whenever they need a dentist or whenever they want to go get pizza, maybe they're going to go to those companies. Why wouldn't they? There's a good, heartwarming message, goodwill that's in there that says, hey, we care about your kids' education. We care about you, the community. We want a strong workforce. We're pro-education, and we're pro-you. We're pro-kids. There could be a good feeling of a good message there. And you're only selling 200 books, so it's 200 books. Maybe you make $3 a piece. That's $600 for doing very little work.
Just a couple other examples too. Thinking about an ad specialty, that could be your bookmark, or maybe a pen, like an apps pen that has the company, your book title on it. You give these things out at trade shows. So that's an example. We're doing some work with Scholastic now, and they have a lot of experience putting books on pack, where they put them on cereal boxes. You could try something like that. If you have a book on dog care, maybe find a company that produces dog food, 20-pound bags of dog food. And they may put a coupon for a free download of your ebook on their dog food. If you buy theirs, then you get a free book for that. A lot of people have a coffee table book at maybe $39, $40, $49, and they say, well, I could never use that as a promotional item. But think about it as a self-liquidator or as a co-op item. It's something that could be used in that sense. So you may be able to sell that book. No, the Audubon Society had a book that was priced at $32,000, and they sold 200 of them as a fundraiser, but they made $6 million. So that's you just think about that when you think your book is priced too high. I think about associations that we've talked a lot about companies, but associations can buy books too. Think of an association that is tied in with your content is tied in with their mission. Go to the membership chair and have them. That person might buy a book in a large quantity and give them away as a motivator to join the association, or incentive to renew your membership. You get a free copy of this book. So that's what we talked about before, the return on ideas, to come up with something that's new and different, and you have an idea about how the company or association can use your content to help them reach their objective in some way.
You know, the fields that we're talking about, in particular, the incentive market and the ad specialty market, combined it's nearly $200 billion a year in merchandise that's given away in some way, shape, or form. That's not resold. That's not self-liquidators. That's just given away and provided for doing something. That's $200 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of product being given away, right? We want to be part of that. We want to be part of that. We want to be part of the goodwill and the feeling and the repetition that it creates. Whenever you are successful with a product, you'll probably be asked, what else do you have? So be prepared for that. If you say, I have nothing else, they're going somewhere else. Out of sight, out of mind. Keep yourself, tied in with these companies and these businesses that you're selling. You're trying to create your business and you want to sell your book, and I get it. But when you're starting out, if you only have one or two products, you may want to load up with a few more. Brian Apps can help with that, with some of the other authors that are in there. Maybe there's a way to merge people together and get people talking about that. But it's going to benefit you in this type of a sale. Rarely do I go in with one idea, one product, one direction. I always have a backup plan. I never know what the buyers are going to say. I never know what some person coming in is going to ask for. So I'm prepared to go off the cuff. No, I've been doing this for a couple of years, so it's easy for me. But just know that in terms of promotion, in terms of incentives and premiums and ad specialties, you almost cannot be wrong with the direction that you choose to go, as long as you can provide them with features of the product and the benefits that they're going to derive if they do what you say. Be the expert, be sure of yourself, create the need, create the direction. You can't be wrong. You can't be wrong. They'll make the decision whether or not to spend their good hard money on that deal, and then follow through with it.
And just as a final comment, that when you're pricing your books in retail, generally you're using a percent off the list price, and the formula for pricing in B2B sales is much different.
Oh, absolutely. The pricing of a product and the margin of that product, is the opportunity. You can't take margin to a bank. And I ask this question of just about everybody we consult. People who are taking this course are going to have a concept of what the book costs them to produce. Oh, this much money in terms of printing, sitting in my garage or my basement or a warehouse. I have this much time invested in it. That's great. So I'm willing to pay you 10 cents profit per book. Anybody that's taking this course right now, would you accept the 10 cents profit on that book? Most people say that's not enough, and that's when I come out with but I'm going to need 13 truckloads of it. Now would you take 10 cents? Well, maybe I would. Of course. Why wouldn't you? So don't look at the margin, so to speak. The pricing needs to be based upon volume, potential sales, what it's going to lead to, the opportunity. Many, many times I've worked with companies, and NBC was one of them that we did. We got an order for a product. It went up. It was very well received. It did very well. The next month we got another order, repeat order, very well received. It was great. We got a third opportunity. We went to the author, and the budget was getting smaller, and they wanted to shrink down the item that they were giving. And we, if you remember this, we went to the author. We said, we need a better price, and they said no. And I said, you need a better price. They said no. And I said, trust me. And they said no. That we want to stay with this one. It's where we need to be. We presented it. NBC canceled the program. They no longer gave the book away. And then the author came back with a great price to get them to buy them. And I refused to go in. There was no way I was going back and saying that, hey, we'll do it for this now. I was not going to put myself in that position. You always put your best foot forward. You know, the old saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You put your best foot forward and live a long time doing this thing, and then move to the next one and continue on. When sales are good, when business is good, when money's flowing, you work hard. You know, that's how it is. You keep it going and keep it flowing. Pricing and margin, those are the same to me. They mean the same thing in my world. You can't take margin to a bank. You can only take cash. So the opportunity is to recognize that. $19.95 is your book. That's awesome. Cost you $2.12 to print it. Volume speaks wonders. You know, how many are we going to be able to sell if we sell it to them for $2.75, $3, $4, whatever it might be? Can you co-op it to shrink it down and the expense of the product to multiple people, to ease, if you will, to multiple companies? The thing about doing that is sometimes you get multiple companies promoting your product. So you end up selling 4 times as much. You didn't even realize you were going to do it. So you reduce your prices, you got 4 people involved in it, and you got 4 people giving away your product. Now you're making money. Now you're making money. We're going to get more into this. There's going to be another course following up this one. Is that correct?
That's correct.
131. It's going to get much more in-depth on how to sell, how do companies use, who uses it, what types of products are they or types of vehicles in terms of self-liquidate or non-pack and near-pack offers. The next courses coming up will be much more involved in how to sell. How do I approach? What do I say? What do I do? What is my direction? How can I recognize opportunities? I have a very simple way to do that one, and you've seen that in some of our consultations that we've done, just by using, you know, the internet and newspapers and magazines. There are opportunities everywhere. You just need to learn how to recognize them and then approach them in a different manner. So that the next course or two is going to be much more involved. And I believe we're also talking about a course where we're going to have an actual call, if you will, direct with that individual, with you, the person going through the course to assist you in an actual sale. That would be a high level, highly involved project. But stay tuned for that. We'll see if we can get that one fruition as well.
Yeah, well, we have a variety of courses in Book Selling University and ancillary opportunities from that too. That any instructors, including Guy and me, that we're always available to help you on an individual basis. So our contact information is here if you need more information or have some comments or want to take other courses on Book Selling University, which we'll have coming out. But Guy, thank you very much. Great information.
Thank you, Brian, for having me.
We're complete and very well delivered. So thank you very much, and thank you all for taking this course. And we will hopefully see you on another course.
Go sell.